Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Magic of Painting. This is episode 5. A lot's happened since the last time that we have been together. Um, Basically, the tropical storm slash Hurricane Helene came through. I had a lot of recovery and things to do in the meantime, just trying to basically get through life. But we're back. We're back in the studio, back in the Treehouse studio. We're producing a show today. So the painting is at its basically what I call the fundamental stage. This is the stage where I like to step back and look at what I like is going on, what I don't like is going on, what I want to do to improve it, um, and concentrate. When you're doing the show, you want to show the brushwork, you want to show or the knife work or whatever, and I just wanted to get things into the basic colors that I was looking at having in here. But now, after I have my canvas colored in with all these beautiful colors here, what I want to do is step back and really study it and really say what are some of the changes that we can do. One of the areas you can see I've been playing around while we were getting set up. I don't like this purple yellow in here. This value is entirely too dark. So that's the first thing that catches my eye, and it catches my eye for all the wrong reasons. It catches my eye because it's not compositionally, color theory wise, however you want to say it, color wise, it's very stark. It's jumping too much. The value shift here is too much. The value shift here is too much. This is way too dark. So if I cover this area that I've been playing around with, you can see how that really just draws your eye, and how this basically starts to draw your eye because it's more in line with what I think I want to do. So when I originally started thinking about this painting, I was thinking, oh, we'll go purple, yellow complements. And now that I'm down here and I have all this wonderful blue here with the mountain ranges in the back, I think I'm going to go into a blue orange complement. I think that'll be a better complement or a better choice for this particular painting. As I go down here and start looking at the ridges, these are nice, like these guys. This is too big. This area is too big. This complement is nice, but this complement between these colors here and these here, it's nice. This area here is good, but I can throw in a couple more blue ridges before I jump to that blue green. And my green needs to be a little more blue on the blue side, especially back in this area here. Okay, so I'm gonna at some point come back and put a ridge in here. You may or may not see that on the show. We're going to drop down and put in some light blue sky here so that we go, maybe tint it with a little bit of really light orange. But so what I want to do, what I want to establish is this atmosphere, this distance that when you're standing up on the Blue Ridge Parkway, you see ridge after ridge after ridge after ridge after ridge. And I mean, you can sit there and count, you probably get like to 10 different ridges that you can see off the top of this. So I have plenty of room here to come back and put in a couple more ridges. And as this blue gets closer to us, it gets a little warmer. So that'll help with getting the atmosphere in here as well. Dropping this blue, a lighter version of that blue there down into here will just give it one more interesting point where the viewer can go, is that a ridge or is that the sky in the background? So just to remind everyone, we talked about having the sun coming from this direction. So that these pinks that I have in here that I said were doorways, or however you want to talk about it, very soft edged, that's going to be going more to the orange side so that we get this nice complement going. My greens are going to go more onto the blue side. There are some wonderful colors in here that I'll let seep through. It won't be a total recovery, but that's basically where we are. So we're going to start out here and we're going to redo these clouds. I always don't worry about the foundational piece. So the first 4 episodes that you saw was me just getting some color down and then me stepping back and saying, what is it I don't like? So even though there's a lot of things in here that I'll probably will end up changing, you can see, I mean, I was already struggling with it. If you look real close, there's a blue patch here. I'm like, this needs to be a little bluer. This guy over here is bluer, which you can't see what I'm painting for, but this touching on, look at this blue. That blue is nice. That would go, and look how it just jumps right in. Your eye just jumps right from there to there with it. So again, you know, get your colors up that you think you're going to want to work with, and then stand back for over days. Don't be in such a hurry to keep getting through a painting. This is the fun stage. The stage that we're getting into now is the fun stage. This is where we get to make color choices. We get to talk about, what it is we really want the composition to be focused on, what we want the viewer to get enamored with. So let's get started with some painting. So on my palette, I have some old colors that I used like down in here for the clouds and stuff, and they're still usable. So again, I use Michael Harding paints. It's been 5 or 6 weeks, and these paints and I did not refrigerate them because I didn't have any way to refrigerate these because I didn't have power for 14 days. Well, actually, I had power after 7 days. So all of the paints that are on my palette were just saved in a palette saver. I'm going to just throw this blue color randomly through here. This is, I can start to be loose. It's okay if a little bit of that purple goes through. If I don't like it, I can always come back and scrape it out. I just want to get a feeling for how I'm going to like that blue and the orange and such coming through here. And I'm going to break off an area with some of that light blue because I don't want these two areas to be so close together. You can already start to see some differences here. I can see that the canvas and I are going to be going around the mound, flipping back and forth. We all have that problem, I think, in the beginning. Come back with a very light yellow in here now. I'm going to just throw this blue color randomly through here. This is, I can start to be loose. It's okay if a little bit of that purple goes through. If I don't like it, I can always come back and scrape it out. I just want to get a feeling for how I'm going to like that blue and the orange and such coming through here. And I'm going to break off an area with some of that light blue because I don't want these two areas to be So close together. Yeah, you can already start to see some differences here. Since there is some texture here, I can just very quickly go over it with my knife and let it capture some colors. Just work my knife back and forth. Let it capture and catch where it wants. A little shadow color in here. Pull this. Start to see that difference that I want to pull into those clouds and the shadows and maybe there's a little bit of a shadow that lives there. And that's a shadow area. And I'm going to pull a nice brush. I just want to softly get rid of those edges. Edges. We haven't talked edges yet. So I want this cloud to be nice and fluffy and soft, and you can get your really soft edge on wet into wet. You can see I'm favoring more of that orange and yellow color for the clouds over that blue. But I'm letting it mix in. You got a little bit of this green stuff going on here. I want to take this very white, and I'm just going to let this cloud climb up and off of the canvas so it doesn't look like I'm afraid of the going off the canvas here. Look at all the soft edge there. That's so nice. I'm just gonna, since it's still wet, I'm just gonna take my brush or my cap palette knife and just gonna go back and forth and kind of mix another color on the canvas. Kind of let some of that light color mix into the darker orange color. So I'm kind of playing with value as I'm doing that. Playing with the edges, definitely. So there are three kind of edges. There's your lost and found edge. There's your hard edge and your soft edge. I'll let that climb up over the canvas, off the canvas there. I'm going to put a little bit just so that this isn't a little bit more of this white. So that you see, I'm being like more technical, more thoughtful in what I want to happen with that particular shape at this point. Working more with value, thinking more about the color change. This blue may not be light enough yet. I may come back and add some lighter color to it. And I'm just going with circles with my palette knife, just in circles with the edge of it, just kind of mix those colors in so that it's a nice, gentle transition from that blue to this cloud. I'm not, what I want to grab your eye in the cloud is the color of them. And the color's got to be pleasing. Color up that purple there, cover it up. I want a nice big circle there of that color. Let it grab a little bit. Come back with that orange that I hope I can mix up again. Of course I can. It's a little cadmium red, and it's a little bit of the cadmium yellow light. And I'm going to put a touch, if I can get some, of the gray blue, just to gray it down a little bit. There we go. The bad thing about working off an old palette is you run out of room to put your new colors. So I'm kind of standing over here going, okay, where do I want this color to go? Okay, so I'm going to come back, since that's wet, I'm going to just grab that so it's a little grayer. So you can tell I'm able to talk a little bit more than on this one than I have in the other ones, mainly because um, my thought process has already happened versus being just covering things up, making sure my values match. So let's go back to edges a little bit here. I'm going to grab that brush again. If I want a really, really soft edge and kind of move some wet stuff around, I will grab a brush from now and then, now and again, just to kind of grab a few of the brush thistles, I call them thistles, and just let that grab and make a really, really soft edge. And you just throw a little bit of color up in the here and there. Make it very soft. This is a nice, pleasant evening. Take some of this base color that we got instead. I'm just going to put a little bit at the bottom, tapping. I say I'm a palette knife painter. That doesn't mean I don't know how to use my brushes. Certainly do. I'm going to grab a little bit of light here. Just kind of tap it. Want to sit down this cloud a little bit. You use the tool that gets it done, whether that be a palette knife or a brush. As my teaching thing says, from brush to palette knife. I'm going to put in the shadow part of this cloud. Just throwing in the color. It's a little bit of texture here. That's okay. I can come back with a little bit of that yellow. Okay, so we got this. This is what you would call a hard edge. Okay, right in here, separating the two. Just want to step back. Look at how different this cloud looks versus this old cloud. The nice soft edges really working in there. I'm already liking the change that I put on this canvas. It's going to work really nicely. So we lost a little bit of a ridge here. I'm going to put one back in. So you can see I'm not really working in one particular area now. I'm moving around going, well, I want that to have a better edge to it. I want, want another mountain ridge in there that you can see. Working the edges in. So it just kind of feels like it's going back into that sky area. Kind of got carried away with some of those light beams, I think, on one of the programs that we were doing. It was hard to recall what my actual thinking was at that point because it's been 6 weeks since we've been in the studio and I've worked on this. I've certainly done a lot of study on it. I'm going to go ahead and drop that sky color down here so that I can play with it. And so I've got a couple different colors here, different blues on my palette, and I'm just throwing stuff here and there down on the mountains so that, you get this feeling, you get this feeling of kind of light and shadow going on the ridge. And if I really want those sky colors beams to come through, I'll put some on. But, at this point, not worried about it. So we are being visited by my little girl. Hi, little girl. My little kitty cat that keeps me company when I paint. It's another nice big area. I'm going to come back and I'm going to take some of this blue that I've been using in the micro or in the tops of the ridges. This blue I was using on the top of the ridges. I'm going to come out and I'm going to put that up here. Just because I want to get a sense of, do I like that better? I like some of that violet that's in here as well. So I may just let the palette knife guide over some of the texture and put that in there like that. So for right now, take that blue out. Yes. Just throwing some colors down here and there right now. I'll come back with my brush and kind of mix them all up. I'm going to have what might feel like another beginning of a cloud here. Connect some stuff here. And get rid of that hard edge at some point. As soon as I get my brush out. That's the fun thing about oil painting. You can change your color scheme, palette. You can decide what palette actually came out in the beginning. So part of the magic is that all this ability to change what you're doing. Oil paint can be very forgiving. So, um, so when you're talking about edges or you're thinking about edges, a lot of times the value has a lot to do with capturing that edge or creating an edge. Like right here, you have a little bit darker value of the ultramarine going into this very light blue, almost too light. So I'm going to come back with a little bit darker. I'm going to mix that in. And if you really want it wet paint, you could add some liquid to the paint if it's been sitting out a while. Back with some of this darker yellow and mix it in with this orange that I put down. Maybe just throw a little bit up in here that I can mix in with the brush. So now I'm just kind of placing colors. I'll come back and blend it in. I like the brush blending that we've been doing, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm just doing little circles. I'm going to let that come down into that color. Rid of that. Got some goobers, as I call them. Technical term, goobers. That they're just like little pieces. It would add texture, but I don't like them, so I take them off. I'm letting the texture of the canvas kind of direct where some of this darker color stays. Some sundogs up here look like they're out from the distance. I'll brush this edge, keep it soft, kind of a back and forth. I'm going to take just a little bit of that very light and come down here. Let's get a little more color. Feels like it's catching a little bit of the ray coming towards us. I'm just gonna Just using the edge of the brush and going in circles and then pushing up as well while I'm doing that. Okay, so look at the difference between this cloud and this cloud. Much better. It's even throwing in some of this, picking up some of this green from below and putting it up there. It looks so much better when you compare it to this side. Not so much, huh? Just kind of coming over and rubbing. It's like a dry brush scumble, really. That color back here in that wet area. You could have clouds back in the back, maybe. Maybe that's another mountain range back there. You just never know. Okay, I'm going to grab some of that light blue and work that in back here. And come back with that darker with the brush. That in the base. So you got a really far off and distant ridge. Sometimes when we get started, we're so excited, we just, start throwing paints around and we kind of lose our compass of, what's really supposed to be going on. What is it that you really see? And come back with a little bit lighter color. And I'm just going to drag it down. Make that edge soft. Okay. This is supposed to be a cloud back in the distance. I'm just going to cover it up. I don't like the way it looks right now. So I'm covering it up. It's kind of interesting to the way that the studio lights as much light as I have on the canvas so that you can see it. Really does change what it looks like when we turn the lights out and look at it. So I've got some natural daylight that's coming in through a window. So just mixing a lot of color. You see it's very sharp edge compared to the other one, but it's all right. We're gonna deal with that here in a second. I'm letting the texture kind of grab that. Much better. Much better where we were than where we were before. Taking a little bit of blue and throwing it in there so we get that feeling of a clown dog or cloud dog, sun dog, whatever they call them. And just enough interest for folks to take a look I'm gonna pull straight down because that's wet. I'm gonna be brave here. I'll put a wisp of light that captures. I don't know why I whisper when I say that. Doesn't change anything. Just a little catching of light in the back there to give it some interest. I don't like it. I just little circles in. Opportunity to drop another blue ridge back there. Okay. I think that's going to be it for this session. I think we're close to 30 minutes here. So again, I could come back and still play with more ridges back here. And next we'll come back and kind of work in some mountain colors in here, some more mountain ranges. These are naturally closer to us, but I want to get one in the distance back there, still kind of feeling like it's off in the distance away from us. And then we'll work down here and making this area really feel like we're standing right in that spot and looking out over the mountain ridges. So this is all for episode 5. Come back for episode 6 and we'll talk a little bit more about edges. We'll talk about how I'm handling my knife and my brush and all that good stuff while we're talking along or painting along. Thank you again. Thanks for watching The Magic of Painting, and please share and tell your friends about the program. Thank you. Bye.